A Dutch news startup has crowdfunded $1 million to unbreak U.S. news. A Dutch news startup has crowdfunded more than $1 million for a U.S. version of its reader-driven news model, in which journalists will be expected to spend as much as 40% of their time talking to readers about what they should cover. But the project has only days left to reach its goal of $2.5 million by December 14. "That is our do-or-die goal," said Rob Weinberg, founder of The Correspondent, which aims to provide U.S. readers what he calls the antidote to the daily news grind. "It sounds better in Dutch," Weinberg joked. In the Netherlands, De Correspondent, which Weinberg started in 2013 with a similar fundraising campaign, has more than 60,000 members who pay for its journalism. The antidote, as Weinberg puts it, is to ditch much of what makes up the modern news economy, in particular ads and breaking news. The company hopes to unbreak news, a goal that points both to its rejection of advertising and its editorial vision of eschewing the latest headlines in lieu of educating readers about the most important developments and underlying forces that shape our world, as the startup's website states. New video. With, "I love this quote, I'm not saying, trust The Correspondent. They've figured it all out. I'm saying, join The Correspondent, and help us figure it all out. We have a different take on what news should be about," Weinberg said. "We have a different idea on how news should be made, and how it should be paid for. Those things are the most important differences. Readers are called members rather than subscribers because they are meant to work with The Correspondent's journalists to provide insight, expertise and perspective on how to cover major stories. The goal is to create the kind of reader-journalist community that many media organizations have tried to build since the advent of the Internet, but has thus far remained elusive. The Correspondent's effort comes at a time when news outlets are turning to subscriptions and paid membership models in search of the financial security that digital ads have not yet provided." On Monday, reported that Verizon was considering a paywall for HuffPost, which was built on massive scale and display ads. The question for The Correspondent, as well as every other media outlet rolling out a paywall, will be whether it can attract enough support to be financially viable. Weinberg said that the company set the $2.5 million goal without a backup plan, and that members will get their money back if the full amount isn't raised. In the U.S., people can pay whatever they like to become a member. In addition to the more than 16,000 people who have already paid to be founding members, The Correspondent also has a group of influential, unpaid ambassadors including activist Ray McKesson, Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales, tech journalist Home Malik, investor and entrepreneur Esther Dyson, Hollywood producer Judd Apatow and many others, who have been putting out calls for support. "I'm not usually a super endorse why guy," 538 founder Nate Silver. "But I've spent a lot of time with the founders and they value the things I value in a news publication, i.e. depth rather than breadth. Plus, they use this model successfully in the Netherlands. So think this has a good shot of working." The company's most successful public/private collaboration came when it to pass on information about the Shell Oil Company, spurring dozens of former Shell employees to reach out. Eventually, he was that showed the company was worried about climate change as early as 1986 and that a company film from 1991 entitled Climate of Concern showed Shell was aware of the impact of fossil fuels. The Correspondent is off to a very good start so far, with 14,000 U.S. members, but still have a ways to go to meet their subscriber goal for launch. Here's a short video with some more thoughts from me on why I think it's worth your consideration. The Correspondent's coverage, if it launches, will focus on big-picture stories and topics, which Weinberg said has worked in the Netherlands and is even more needed in the US. "We have news channels but not with the 24-hour kind of rhythm to it," Weinberg said about the difference between news media in the Netherlands and in the US. "So our message is even pretty much the same, but it resonates a little bit more because people feel the problem is bigger." The US version is also launching with an emphasis on inclusion and diversity as one of its 10 founding principles, something that has been for The Correspondent in the Netherlands. The startup said it would include many different perspectives and worldviews from a broad variety of backgrounds, both in our newsroom and on our platform. The company has also shown a willingness to respond to its members, even when put in a difficult position, such as when The Correspondent in September. Jay Rosen, professor of journalism at New York University and an unpaid advisor to The Correspondent, has been studying efforts to foster community-driven journalism. He said that while plenty of such efforts have failed, The Correspondent has a chance to succeed, noting its journalists will be expected to spend 30 to 40% of their time interacting with members, which has been built with that goal in mind. "It has been a dream for a long time," Rosen said. "What's different about The Correspondent is several things. The most important is the incentive system is there. It's very well aligned. Jason Obertsazy is the senior editor for technology news at NBC News Digital.